Hey, Peter. So today, we're going to be listening to one of my all-time favorite vocal recordings. It's with two of the greatest jazz musicians in history. In fact, two of the GOATs, for sure. And this was at a pinnacle for both of them in their careers. Now, it has an interesting twist because it also contains accompaniment by a rhythm section containing four masters, including a young master pianist who is accompanying in a way that is, to put it mildly, very strange, if not a little bit intrusive. Not that you would know anything about that, Peter, because you are, if nothing, a tasteful accompanist. Peter, today we're listening to Ella and Louie.
Did you say something?
Never mind. I'm Adam Manis.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored, brought to you today by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for all your jazz lesson needs.
You've been getting some comments on your... So I feel that you're recently emboldened with your delivery. I like that.
The more people say they like it, the more I'm going to do it. No, actually, I got some funny comments on some totally You'll Hear It related shorts. They were like, take it through all 12 keys. Like they're combining the taglines.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, I love it because...
You also have a giraffe on your shirt. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
I do. This is an incredible cardigan that I have, but that I'm so stoked on. But have you ever seen the movie Private Parts? Howard Stern's movie?
I don't think so. I'm aware of it, though.
So there's a great scene early in Stern's career. There's a great scene in the movie, and there's Pig Face.
Oh,
Pig Vomit. Played by Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
It's like one of his first film roles.
Yes.
And he's like, no, it's WNBC.
He's like the station manager.
He's the station manager. He's trying to get Howard to go WNBC.
Right. And is that where that comes from?
They do it so much that it's just been stuck in my brain since 1996. So, or
awesome.
7. So that's where that comes from, is from Private Parts, which is, I think it's an all-timer of a movie comedy. You can't make movies like that anymore.
No. You will be...
well, they're just not profitable. Those kind of like biopic comedies. Yeah,
That's
they
right.
just wouldn't be on the big screen. It'd be a 6-part Netflix series.
You can't put anything in the theaters anymore unless it's a sequel or like it has or is Marvel adjacent.
It's so true. Should we just turn this into the rewatchables?
Were they talking about that?
Well, they always talk about that.
But it's like I almost watched it last night and then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to. The George Clooney, friend of the show, we think.
Friend of the show,
Friend of jazz,
friend
for
of
sure.
Yours.
Well,
do you still have his number in your phone?
I do, but he never calls back, and he seemed to have changed his number.
Okay.
Not related to me. But George Clooney and Brad Pitt have a new movie out.
Oh, really?
And it was supposed to be in the theaters, and at the last minute, Apple, ever heard of them?
They pulled it from the theaters.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to go straight to Apple TV Plus.
Amazing.
Is that amazing, though?
No, it's sad.
It's weird, yeah.
It's really sad. I love seeing the movies in the theaters. You can't recreate the.
There was a time when, those guys are still huge stars and coming together and ever heard of Ocean's 11?
Yeah, of course.
What about Ocean's 12?
Yeah, exciting thrill rides.
Was there one more? 13 perhaps?
Yeah, I think there's 7 more.
This is like Ocean's 14 or something with them coming back together, but it's going to be streaming only, which kind of takes away a little bit. Although the album we're listening to today, and most of these albums that we listen to are not things that we heard in person. So maybe that's kind of like the corollary to how we experience, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you see, I remember seeing Oscar Peterson at the Hollywood Bowl. I actually had a chance to be part of the opening act for him.
Are you for real right now?
I'm not kidding. Yeah. So, I have some reference point, and that's not the record we're going to, but we are going to be talking about Hollywood Bowl, Elep Gerald, Louis Armstrong.
There's a backstory, yeah.
There's a backstory that I just discovered this morning. I'm super excited about. But we think about when you've seen something, and I also saw Ella Fitzgerald live just a couple blocks from here as a young boy.
Wait, you saw Ella Fitzgerald as a young boy? How was she a young boy?
Oh, boy.
What are you talking about?
I was a young boy. Adam, center.
Aha, got it.
She was an older woman. She was probably 70 or late 60s.
I was going to say, this was recorded in 1956, and she's 38 here.
This podcast
39.
was recorded in 1956?
Okay, now you got me. That is, yeah.
Exactly
I deserve
what you
that.
did. Yep. So, yes, this record was recorded, would you say 56?
56. And
the last record we did was recorded in 56.
I know. The cultural context is almost exactly the same. The number one movie in America was The Ten Commandments. The number one TV show was I Love Lucy. The president was Ike.
Wait, okay. I Love Lucy, I feel like was a huge show when I was a little kid. My mom used to watch it, and
was
that was in
on-
like the mid 70s.
Yeah, it was on reruns until just last year, I think.
You know what's weird though? At that time, the 70s and even to the early 80s, I had no reference point for what was a rerun and what wasn't.
I knew the old black and white ones where people were wearing weird clothes was done.
I didn't. For some reason, I was like, if it was coming on, especially stuff that I was really young, like that my parents were watching. There was so much like stuff that I saw that I didn't understand and saw my parents laughing at that I was like, what? I must have been really little.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it was all in between. They'd be watching something and then it'd be like Walter Cronkite with, images from Vietnam and stuff blowing up. And it was very jarring as a young lad.
Yeah, the only thing that I liked that my parents used to watch that I thought was funny was those Victor Borge specials on PBS. Remember those?
Yeah, but that was reruns, sir.
Was it reruns?
I think so.
They would laugh the hell out of that when you do the Oh, sorry.
Man, your parents were upper crust, man. PBS, were they members?
Well, they were crusty, but
were they members?
I think they are members. Yeah, I think so.
What was the other thing? Oh man, my parents used to watch. What was the thing on PBS? Upstairs, downstairs.
Upstairs.
Oh my
downstairs,
god, I didn't understand.
Mystery. That was also a good one.
Oh god, my mom still watches that. She will be at our house having dinner sometimes, and it's like 8 o'clock. She's like, I gotta go home watching Mystery.
Amazing.
I'm like, Mom, we can stream it here for
How many
you
Miss
anytime.
Marples they got in the can?
I don't know.
But
we diverged.
The TV show was I Love Lucy. The president was Dwight D. Eisenhower. The number one song in America was Don't Be Cruel by Elvis Presley. And the number one album was Elvis, number 2, from Elvis Presley.
It was just called Elvis.
It was just called
number 2?
Elvis, but it was the second full-length album.
Okay, that's when you're a star.
Yeah.
Just Elvis. Cool. Okay. A little background on Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. They had performed together, and we're going to get to in a minute how recently they had performed before they recorded this record, because it's an amazing thing that for all the years of listening to this record. But they recorded together on Decca like in the late 40s, kind of early 50s, several years before this. But this was kind of their first big hit. It was also one of the first big hits for Verve Records, which started in 1956 by Norman Granz, who of course was Ella Fitzgerald's longtime manager and concert impresario, as well as Oscar Peterson and Ray Brown, that whole crew there. Yeah, it was incredible. But they made 3 big records over the next couple of years: Ella and Louis again, which was like the next year or 2 years later, and then of course Ella and Louis, Porgy and Bess, which I think is just a stunning artistic work. I think this record we listen to today is as well. I think I'm a fan. I'm gonna lay my cards. Hot take.
This is the one for me. This is the one
of those 3. I would have to say probably, if pressed, I prefer the Porgy and Bess, but just because I think of all the versions of that, we should do a listen off between Ella and Louis, Porgy and Bess versus Miles Davis, Porgy and Bess.
That's a tough one, man. Why would you?
You know what? We're all winners.
Yeah, everybody wins.
Everybody wins. But it's different takes. But anyway. So
Ellen Lewis was recorded. They recorded one previous album, as you said, on Decca. Louis Armstrong made one other album in 1956, and Ella made one other album entitled "Ella Sings the Rodgers and Hart Songbook,"
which was a massive like multi-LP situation where she basically sang every song, cite read it. Like she did on the Cole Porter one.
That's
and
right.
Duke, I mean,
she was a genius at that.
She was a genius. Yeah. And I think Norman Granz, I don't know a lot. I mean, a lot of it's kind of anecdotal I've heard over the years, but from some kind of direct sources that were around him and stuff during that time, very innovative, huge force in the music in terms of like management and presentation, but very domineering in terms of like, this is what you're going to sing, this is what you're going to play. But apparently it was all like, especially approved by, from what I read, by Louis Armstrong. Like all the songs on this record were suggested by Norman Granz. Of course, he produced this. It was on Verve, but it was all stuff that Louis Armstrong. Now, whether or not Louis Armstrong's like, cool, I can sing the phone book, which was pretty much the case.
Yeah, both of them.
But apparently, at least Louis Armstrong, he didn't know any of the tunes they were going to do till they got in there, and literally learned them and they recorded this in one day at the venerable Capitol Records Studios in Los Angeles, right there at Hollywood Boulevard, or is it Sunset? Beautiful, round,
gorgeous, iconic building.
Incredible, huge room there. I got a chance to record there twice. It's this iconic, beautiful place.
Not only was this recorded in one day, Peter, like it was recorded quickly, but there was a quick turnaround because it recorded on August 16th, 1956, and released on October
That's like podcast.
in October 1956.
That's
Yeah.
like podcast turnaround.
Oh, that's quicker than this podcast.
No, it's not. No.
But it's close though.
It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
They had to press up the LPs, make the 8-tracks, make the cassettes.
It's pretty crazy, actually.
The mini discs.
I
It's
would
a lot
guess.
of work.
You said this is when Verve was launched
I don't think this was the first record, but it was launched
in the first year of Verve.
1956.
I'm guessing Norman Granz was like, "Listen, we need to make some money.
We got to fund this operation.
We've got 2 huge stars here. The way this album sounds is magical. We got to get this out." Because even stuff we do here at Open Studio, I'm like, we got to get the JPJ out.
Right,
Let's go.
I know. Well, and the night before, we're going to talk about that. Let me just read this little blurb that I found. I was going to read the liner notes. They're really good. They're kind of long, but this will kind of set the scene a little bit as to how this came about. I never knew any of this. It's amazing listening to this record for so long. I used to have the cassette. Remember the what would it say, like compact hits, Verve compacts with the little thing?
Sure. Yeah.
The evening before Louis Armstrong recorded this album, both he and Miss Fitzgerald were appearing in an all-star concert. Also, now a lot of times we say all-star concert. This time it's the correct. Listen to who was there. Also featuring Art Tatum and Oscar Peterson, that was recorded for an album entitled Live at the Hollywood Bowl 1956. Never knew about that record. The following day, the 2 singers, along with the Oscar Peterson trio, actually Oscar Peterson quartet as it turned out, were in a Los Angeles studio to record this gem of an album. With no time for rehearsals, the songs were all set in Lewis's keys to make it easier.
Interesting.
So maybe Ella knew them.
Just knowing that Ella is a monster and just going to nail everything.
Yeah. Now, there was, it says, to make it easier, but this in no way inhibits Ella's performance. There were some key changes.
Yeah.
Like you can hear him shift during the tune, which is great. I think that adds to the vibe. Great way to navigate that. Another challenge for Pops was the fact that the material was not his normal repertoire, meaning he had to learn things on the fly in the studio. Again, there's no hint of any issues, which all goes to highlight Armstrong's innate musical ability.
Yeah, I mean, the musicality level is Louis Armstrong, so it's going to be high.
I know.
Now,
yeah, absolutely. But I mean, one thing when they say Armstrong's innate musical ability, I would agree, but I would also add sets and reps for the number of tunes by the time.
How many songs has he learned at this point? He's 55 years old.
Yeah. And being able to navigate different keys and, of course, his trumpet playing and everything. So anyway, that kind of sets the thing. And can we just look at the album cover first for this album so you guys know what we're talking about? I'm sure you've seen it before. It's very interesting. We're going to get.
I love this cover because look at that.
Super, super iconic. Look
Obviously,
at the shadows
in the studio. I love his.
The shoes for both of them.
I mean, his loafers with the white socks is just great.
Color coordination.
Camp collar shirt
on the
there
outfits.
for you, Peter. Shirt of the summer right there.
Right.
And yeah, they just look like they're kind of.
That looks like a shirt you or I might have worn this summer if we could have got our hands on it.
I mean, I think I have that exact outfit in my closet, honestly.
Good.
But I love this cover just because of their personalities shining through.
Yep.
In what's obviously some kind of candid, maybe post-candid shot, but in the studio.
In the studio. You can tell it's in the studio. I mean, I think that's even the Capitol parquet kind of floors there. I love the folding chairs of a certain era, So cool. But so the night before, they did this incredible concert. We're going to actually do something we don't normally do on here, which is listen to a different record than what the Hollywood, if I can find this, Hollywood Bowl Live. Now, I just became aware of this earlier today. Jazz Hollywood Bowl Live. This is how fresh it is. I am searching for this as we go. Okay, so Jazz at the Hollywood Bowl. This wasn't released for a long time. I mean, it was released, it looks like in 2011, but for whatever reason, it wasn't. But incredible lineup, and we'll have a link to this below. But check out, this is Norman Granz's introduction,
correct.
Yes, of the concert from the night before they made this record, just so you can kind of feel what's happening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, jazz comes to
Let's look at, there we go.
the Hollywood Bowl. Our concert will have 2 parts. The first part will be the jam session, then Art Tatum, and then Miss Ella Fitzgerald. After the intermission, the second set will include the Oscar Peterson Trio, Louis Armstrong and his group, and for a finale, Miss Fitzgerald and Mr. Armstrong will do some duets. Inasmuch as improvisation is the heart of jazz, it's fitting that we start off with the most improvised kind of music, the jam session. I'd like to introduce the musicians in the jam session. On the rhythm section, we have on drums, Buddy Rich.
Just going to the jam session with Buddy Rich.
Our bassist is generally considered to be the best bassist in jazz today, Ray Brown.
So anyway, he goes on to introduce. I like how he just lays out. Generally considered the best bassist in jazz. Bam. Thank you very much, Los Angeles. You're welcome.
Also, Art Tatum and Oscar Peterson on the same stage.
I know.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Amazing.
So this is really cool just to think they were up doing this. And I love like how there's a lost art to just laying out what's going to happen in the evening. This is what's going to be happening.
So this album features Ella and Louis. Ella was 39 years old. Louis was 55 years old.
Yeah.
It also features the Oscar Peterson Quartet.
Right.
Oscar on piano, 31 years old.
Oh, a young
Herb
Oscar.
Ellis on guitar, 35 years old.
Yep.
Ray Brown as the baby of the group, 30 years old. And
Yep.
Buddy Rich on drums, 38 years old. And I believe weren't at this time were Ella and Ray together?
I don't think they maybe that's it's possible. They were married for a time. They had a son, Ray Brown Jr., of course, who I had the pleasure of meeting. I think that technically at the concert the night before, they were calling it the Oscar Peterson Trio because they actually performed on that concert. I mean, I think they did the jam session all of them together.
As a trio,
As a trio, Herb Ellis, Ray Brown, exactly,
Yeah.
Oscar Peterson.
Well, let's check out this album. Let's see how it sets up. It starts with "Can't We Be Friends?"
Ooh.
And this is very good.
I thought I'd found the man of my dreams. Now it seems this is how the story ends. He's going to turn me down and say, can't we be friends? I thought for once it couldn't go wrong. Not for long, I can see the way this ends.
The phrase.
Ellis is
He's
floating
going
already.
to turn me down and say, can't we be friends? Never again. Through with love, through with men. They play their game without shame. And who's to blame? I thought I'd found a man I could trust. What a bust. This is how the story ends. He's gonna turn me down and say, can't we be friends?
Yes, I thought I knew the wheat from the chaff. What a laugh. This is how the story ends. I let her turn me down. Say, can't we be friends? I acted like a kid out of school. What a fool. Now I see this is the end. I let her turn me down. Say, can't we be friends? Oh, why should I care? Though she gave me the air. Why should I cry, have a sigh, and wonder why?
Ongoing
Oscar
piano
Peterson
solo.
soloing already.
Yes, I should have seen the single stop. What a flop. This is how the story ends. She's gonna turn me down. Say, can we be friends?
Okay, I'm going to pause it there just because this may come up as a banger solo, what we're about to hear, and I don't want to spoil that. Okay. But what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, first of all, my thoughts are that the real stars of the show is the engine underneath it. I think Ray Brown, Buddy Rich, and Herb Ellis underneath all of this stuff that's happening, which is all very beautiful. But that's what makes this record to me, is that rhythm section is so swing. I mean, the entire time, both of us, I'm watching you and our legs are like just pounding down on the floor.
Yeah.
Because that beat is so strong.
Yeah.
And I've heard Ray Brown and Buddy Rich do things together on I forget what the other albums. Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, the night before at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, wait, are they on the Bud Powell stuff together? They might be on the Bud Powell stuff together, the Genius Bud Powell.
Yeah.
Amazing Bud Powell. But they're just so swinging together.
Yeah.
Those two specifically have a real heavy pulse.
Yeah.
And then Herb Ellis does as well.
Yep.
You know, and I think to me, just that initial impression, of course, there's the amazing phrasing from Ella, there's the amazing phrasing and the texture of Lewis's voice and the contrast between the two of them.
Big contrast.
She has this incredible instrument, this pristine, beautiful nightingale of a voice that she can literally do anything with.
Yeah.
And he's got this gravelly, an octave lower, you know, you can hear mouth noises happening all over the place. But it just works really well. But he's so sophisticated in his musicality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything that he's doing is the choices are just the highest level. And of course you have Oscar Peterson essentially taking a solo underneath all of it.
It's only on this tune though, right?
But to me, what stands out just in that first example and throughout this entire album is the battery of Ray and Buddy and Herb.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I think, you know, it's a particular kind of swing. I would say in that it's interesting you say heavy because to me it doesn't feel heavy.
No, I don't mean it like it's like overbearing.
Yeah.
I just mean that the pulse is so confident.
You know what? Yeah, for sure confident. And maybe the heaviness comes also from like, it's so precise. It's so stuck. Like it's not like that, you know, kind of Philly Joe Jones, Paul Chambers, like it can kind of push and pull in terms of not like rushing and dragging in a bad way, but it's flexible more. This is like, there's no flexibility to speeding up or now, I don't know, someone probably can analyze and put in the comments and be like, yes, they changed 3 BPM. But to me, it sounds like there's no possibility of speeding up or slowing down.
I agree. I think that's what I meant by it's like they're the engine. It's almost mechanical, but it's not almost not in a bad way.
No, exactly. And it's just so precise, so swinging, so stuck in that groove that like if you're gonna play along with them, then you better be right in there or just put your hands up because there's no in between. Like you're gonna be pulled into that vortex of swing. You know?
But what makes it magical then is that you got then over that on top of this mechanical driving force that feels immovable, like you said, you got Ella floating in and out of these melodies.
Yeah.
And you got Lewis like floating and doing all of this crazy improvisation with the melody and with his phrasing. And you've got Oscar floating on these like accompanying melodic lines, which is a very generous way to say what he's doing.
Solos.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like it gives them the freedom to play all that stuff and sing all that stuff.
I mean, let's just listen to the intro again.
I thought I'd found the man of my dreams.
So I've never heard alternate takes on this, and most of this stuff to me sounds like it was just first taken. But I've heard some like on the songbook stuff with the same rhythm section or a similar rhythm section with Elep Gerald and just verse stuff in general, like late 50s, mid-late 50s. When they'll do another take or something, it's just as good. Like they come in the way that Oscar Peterson does, like it'll be like that every time. But it'll be a different intro. But it's kind of stunning. Like if you ever have to do this kind of thing, like to be able to come out the gate, like with the same kind of like very like fundamental foundational swing that they're playing like in the middle during the song. Like Oscar Peterson starts like he's already playing along with the way that Buddy Rich and Herb Ellis and Ray Brown are playing. It's like he already knows how they're gonna play, and it's just like that's the way it starts. And it's really just the first two notes. Bing, bing, scoo-doo. Like you talk about hearing where the pulse is already.
Swinging, yeah. And I looked it up. It was the genius of Bud Powell that I'm thinking of with Ray and Buddy playing together and swinging so hard. But I'm pretty sure that's not even the only one. I think they've done several things together.
Yeah. And then, so we listened to this already, but Elep Gerald's phrasing really out the gate on this.
I thought I'd found the man of my dreams. Now it seems this is how the story ends.
So accurate.
He's going to turn me down and say, can't we be friends? I thought for once it couldn't go wrong. Not for long, I can see the way this.
And that stuff when it's like, doo, boo, 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 like where you're already laying back on the thing, her ability to go in and out of the time. And then the way Louis Armstrong, when he comes in and sings it, it's pretty different. Yeah. It's pretty different, but like, and like knowing the story now about how he didn't know any of these tunes, it makes sense. But he sings them like he's known them his whole life for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, he'll omit little sorts of parts. So, like you can almost hear him trying to catch up with the lyric, because some of it's kind of tricky. You know what I mean? Like you can tell Ella Fitzgerald knew this tune.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, maybe she didn't either. But like, if you know the story on it, the way that he navigates the melody is super interesting.
Can we talk a little bit about what Oscar's doing here? Can you play a little bit more of what's going on?
He's going to
They got
turn
it way
me
down in the
down
mix.
and say,
Well, you'd have
can't we be
Yeah.
friends? Never again. Through with love, through with men. They play their game without shame. And who's to blame? I thought I'd found a man I could trust. What a
So Oscar's
bust.
in a lot of instances here. This is where I've actually done some YouTube videos on this phenomenon that Oscar Peterson, I think, specifically employs in a lot of his accompaniment and even soloing. But it's the no 5-2-5 thing. Like, so he's not actually playing the changes on all of this melodic stuff.
Right.
In a lot of sometimes he is, but in a lot of instances, it's this kind of thing, Pete. It's this like, this form here, and not this specifically, not
Yeah.
where he's doing this specifically, but it is this movement. So anytime you hear like something like that, is this movement of the flat 3 diminished to the 2 chord to
Yep.
the 1, but it's melodic. Also that kind of thing is this movement of 1, 2, flat 3 diminished, 1, this movement. And he's just using this no matter what the changes are. You know what I mean? Like he's not thinking about C7. He's not doing a buzz pal.
Right. It's all based around the tonic.
He's not outlining. He's just playing the 1. He's playing in the key of B flat on the 1. Like, so you notice at the end, like they'll do like a 3-6-2-5, and he's not outlining any of those changes. He's just
Right. Or
he's just thinking about B flat.
Yeah.
And doing this kind of movement.
it's a very bluesy, gospel-y approach, actually.
Yeah. Caleb, can you put a link to that YouTube video where I go on a deeper dive on that? That's I think it's called the No 5-2-5.
No 5-2-5.
And when I kind of first discovered that, I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Great.
Cool.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole record, it's funny because sometimes they're like, yeah, it was all ballads and stuff. Like, I wouldn't consider this an all ballads record.
No,
But
not at all.
No.
There's some swangers on here.
Exactly.
For sure.
Like that one.
Let's keep going. Let's hear what could be a banger solo.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
He's gonna turn me down.
I'm going to jump to that.
Me down, say, can we be friends?
Like,
So, okay, just little things that Louis Armstrong's, because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I like his playing. He's a great showman, great singer, but some people have trouble getting inside of the genius of his trumpet playing, I feel like. And not that you have to, but if you're interested and always been kind of like, I don't quite get it. It's like, he's not a Clifford Brown. He's not a Miles Davis, but
there is no Clifford Brown or Miles Davis without him.
exactly. Like there, you can feel that lineage. And the thing with Louis Armstrong is he did it from whatever, 1910s, pretty much, or 1920 or so, all the way to 1972 or whatever it was. But a hallmark of it is the ability to phrase and put emphasis and change the sound, like to totally change on one note that becomes a part of the phrasing. Check out how he does that. And then, with intonation, a lot of times, because he has such control, he pushes that sharp intentionally, because that gives it such an interesting kind of over-the-top thing.
I want to just point out here, too, that this is such an important lesson that shouldn't be glossed over. I know we have a lot of piano players that listen to this podcast, a lot of guitarists that listen to this podcast. We often have it too easy for making a sound on our instrument and overlook the importance of this. It's what I've been loving, Peter, about this. Like, I'm
loving it.
I've been practicing my voice for like 4 years now, and it's really eye-opening because you can't do what you can do on the piano. On the piano, you can run your fingers over the keyboard like a typewriter, and you don't have to think about each individual note. But if you ever try to sing a song, if you're not literally selling every single word, every single phrase, every single note, selling it into something interesting that is articulated with that, it sounds horrible. It really sounds bad. And you can get away with a lot of technical deficiencies if you're able to sell a song and sell every word of it. And Louis Armstrong does that with every single lyric he sings and every single note that he improvises or melody that he plays on the trumpet. And it's a great lesson. If you apply that then to your piano playing, and think about if you were to play just, like a 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of B flat. You don't have to do anything crazy to get, like, your reaction there was like, oh yeah, because it's like, I'm really thinking about pulling juice out of each one of those little simple notes in the phrase, right? It makes a huge difference to your audience. It makes a huge, as opposed to just like trying to think of something clever or play fast or run your fingers over the keyboard. Doing it this way, thinking about how Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald approaches each phrase. Like Ella does the same thing. Each note, when you hear them sing each lyric, there's so much behind it. They're selling every single word. There's nothing that's just glossed over, and it matters. That matters.
Yeah, and I think that, the better the song, the lyric and the melody, the easier it is to sell and to execute that story, right? This tune, I do not think is the greatest song ever written. I think it's fine. It's good.
All these songs are good.
Yeah. Actually, is there anything that's...
There's nothing bad. And in fact, there's some great songs. I would say...
Yeah, there's a couple that are kind of
A Foggy Day is a great song. Stars Fell on Alabama is a great song. Nearness of You is an all-timer.
Yeah.
Moonlight in Vermont is an all-timer.
This is got... But this one is one of the weak... And not by a lot. This is a great tune, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it takes, that's next level when you can turn it into something that is just extraordinary. I think that's like selling the story. Sometimes people will have... They'll tell you, man, you're not going to believe what happened to me last night. And you're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
That's a great, you had me at, you're not going to believe. And then they tell the story and it's like, no, tell the fucking story. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
A great storyteller can be like, what happened last night? And it turned out all that happened was they left a $1 bill on the sidewalk by accident.
But if they're good at really telling the story, at putting everything into every word, at being with you as they're telling it, makes all the difference.
Ella Fitzgerald was just, that's the only way you can get through doing 30 songs in a day. Some great, some okay, and make them all really interesting stories. But I think that when you get that's one of the things that's just stunning to me about this solo is that you don't have the lyrics anymore to tell the story. And so, but like he's really relying on the melody, but then the nuance of the way he's playing it to tell the story and to make it so interesting, even after you've heard it over and over again. This has been in movies and
back it up
we've heard it a lot. Yeah.
Check it out.
Should I care? Though she gave me
because he's bought into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why should I cry?
I love that change in the bridge.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
And wonder why.
And he's adding in cool stuff.
The single stop.
But listen to how much.
What a flop.
This is how much everything is singing matters.
Yeah.
She's gonna turn me down.
And it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's personal. It's like personalized.
Every note he plays has some kind of...
Yeah. And there's enough like that, his heritage, that New Orleans thing that he's in LA, this is like, got nothing to do with New Orleans, but it's still got that in there. Woo!
Oscar's not stopped.
No. Yeah, so that's just a short solo, but
Why
that's
stopping when Ella's coming back,
Well, because
man?
we're talking about the banger solo, bro. Okay, we'll keep going.
Keep it going.
We're not going to get past this first track, though. I think they're still swinging in the rhythm section. Newsflash.
And why should I cry? Ever sigh,
Every
wonder
single
why.
lyric matters. Every note matters. There's something on everything.
I should have seen the signal to stop. What a flop. This is how the story ends. I let him turn me down and say, can't we be?
That's why I think, man, the most important.
Can't we be? Can't we be? Can't we be friends?
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, and
It's amazing. One One of the most important, I think, mindsets to carry with us when we're playing music of any kind, but especially when you're improvising, I think is a sense of, I think on one hand, you could call it playfulness. Like that guy needs some playfulness in his life. Some playfulness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could call that curiosity. You can call that mindfulness.
Well, be careful with the curiosity. That did kill the cat.
It could. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is like the ability to get out of your head and just let yourself have fun.
Yeah.
And you got this music here and you're just gonna turn it over and see what's here.
It's that combination of playfulness but intentionality. So it's like it's serious, but it doesn't come across. It's like the intentionality is serious, but nothing else is serious, right? The approach, like, so everything is about like the final product, selling the story, but like, you know, living in that joy of the story.
They are
of the
having
moment.
so much fun with this.
Yeah.
There's so much joy in this, and it just translates
And you know
so
what?
well.
Maybe they weren't. Maybe they hated each other in the studio, but it didn't matter because it didn't sound like that.
This is the job of a professional musician, is to turn on whatever switch that is to where your life is not in the best place. But whatever reason, when we get on stage with each other and we start playing music, or even if we just sit at the piano by ourselves, for me, it's been a lifelong mission. And I feel like this is the real musician's work, is to be able to turn that switch and to be able to
Commitment to excellence. Commitment to excellence.
And well, it's a commitment to the moment and getting out of my head and what I think about things and how I'm feeling about things, but really just tap into something deeper than those kinds of superficial things. Okay, let's skip ahead here. There's a couple of tracks that I want to hit, Peter.
Yeah.
Before we get to awards, we got to hit a little bit of this.
Oh,
I do like this guy's emo shirt, though.
Emos?
Penny
Herb Ellis with a little
in
glisten.
a stream, falling leaves, a sycamore, moonlight in Vermont.
That's a well-recorded vocal right there.
I think Ella Fitzgerald makes a case for being the greatest singer of the 20th century. I mean, I don't think you could leave her out of that conversation. The natural voice is up there with anybody. Anybody.
On a mountainside.
And I think her musicality in terms of how she controlled it, I think is exemplary as well. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, she's too good, she's too pure.
Yep.
Instruments.
It's like too much chocolate cake, people will say.
Yeah, but when it's, that's like if you're just shoving down your throat, but like her curation of her voice, I think is just as good.
It's stunning.
You know, and like the control over the vibrato and how that affects the music, not just as a pyrotechnics.
Are so hypnotized by the love.
And obviously her breath control, all the technical stuff.
Evening, summer breeze.
But that kind of
wobbling of a meadowlark, moonlight in Vermont.
Oscar Peterson soloed on this as well. That's a ballsy move to come in like that on the ballad.
Will Lewis steal the Oscar Peterson overplaying award from
Or
Oscar?
early entrance.
Okay. Next up, we got that. Can't take that away from me. This is one of the more popular tracks, and this is, I think,
this is a great.
Some of the best collaboration of their
The
voice.
way you wear your hat.
Ooh.
The way you sip your tea, the memory of all that. No, they can't take that away from me. The way your smile just beams.
And actually, we're talking about Oscar and his playing the one chord.
Yeah.
The way
As
you
I'm
haunt
connecting
my
this
dreams.
now,
He does it the whole album.
but isn't that what Lewis does as well?
They
It kinda
can't take that away
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
We
I just
may
put two and two
never meet again.
You're so hot, you gotta fan yourself. Is your arm okay? Pat yourself on the back, buddy.
No, it's just kind of
Still
dumb.
I'll always keep the memory of the way you hold your knife, the way we
Man,
dance.
Every one of these phrases should be
It's
transcribed.
just a lot of like New
The
Orleans trumpet
way
heritage
you've
in there too.
changed my life.
Like he really brought that sound international.
No, they can't take that away from me. No,
This one I think has a key
they
change on it.
can't take
This has got some great, like, they're weaved
Yeah.
together their vocals in an interesting way.
The way you wear your hat,
Oh,
You like swing?
the way you
And
sip
again,
your
that rhythm
tea.
and the way he changed keys, he wasn't perfect when he came. They could have like edited it. That's a hard like boo boo doop bop, you know, little break you have to navigate the new key.
They can't take that away from me. The way your smile just beams.
Like that kind of thing, you can tell he doesn't really know the
way
song.
you sing off key.
Yeah, but it's just like to be in the
Way you
moment to be able
haunt
to
my
like come up with that. It gives it like a playful innocence.
No, they
a
can't
hard tune
take
to
that
sing,
away
too.
from me. We may never
By the way,
meet again on the bumpy
this
road.
is the least
to
Oscars played of the whole
love.
record.
Yeah, that's true.
Still, I always
New Orleans.
keep the memory of
He had a great
the way
thing with
you
using
hold your
vibrato.
knife.
You know, calibrating the vibrato
Yeah,
to
we
affect
danced
the
till
phrasing.
3.
I guess that's called singing, right?
It is.
Where you changed my life.
I love that
Oh, yeah.
line. The way you
Six.
changed my life, the way you sing that.
No, they can't take that away from me.
Yeah, there's no way he was gonna do this in
they
another
can't
B flat.
take that away from me. Swing it, boys.
Swing it, boys. Oh. Little fourth E minor thing. Ooh.
Hey,
Oh, I'm going out on a limb here, just to let you know.
oh.
Diminish much? Don't diminish my diminish.
We may never, 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 never meet again on the bumpy road to
Swing it up.
Still, I'll always, always keep the memory of
Yeah, man.
the way you hold tonight,
Dun,
the way we dance.
He's doing this in his key.
oh, yes. The way you changed my life.
Love that.
No, they can't take that away from me.
No, they can't take that away.
Oh, he says something.
Will you repeat that again, dearie, please?
He's like all up on the mic.
They can't take that away.
From me.
Ah, it's so good.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's just
Such a
ear to ear
simple,
smile
beautiful,
the
yeah.
whole time. Incredible.
Good record.
Great record.
I added a couple things to our forthcoming. Oh, we're gonna do some underrated, overrated first. But when we get to Apex Mountain,
Well, let's talk about some bangers first. So they can't take that away from me is my track banger. My solo banger, Peter, is Oscar's accompaniment throughout the entire
That's
album.
not- you can't do
It's
that.
my favorite stuff that is improvised on the entire record. I don't think Oscar has a solo.
oh yes, he does.
Does he?
Yeah, on every record.
On every
I mean,
song.
every song.
Yeah. But he doesn't have a designated solo that I
Yeah.
can remember. But he's definitely playing a lot.
He's
and I love it.
He's like, I'm gonna get mine somehow.
Your track.
Canada is in the house. Yeah, so my track is Cheek to Cheek, and I picked this because I think they're that's a kind of long, hard tune. Okay. Full disclosure, not my favorite song. Probably my least favorite song,
Cheek to
just
Cheek.
as a song.
Yeah.
I don't really like playing it.
Like
I mean,
a society band song.
it's a little bit, yeah. But what they do with it. So to me, I'm always like pull for the underdog in terms of like
Oh, yeah.
lifting it up. That's the heaviest lift.
Oh, this is elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is potential schmaltz elevated to a new level.
Yeah, this is
for
like
sure.
taking the humble Cornish hen and turning it into. I don't know. I haven't been eating meat.
Keep going
lately.
with that. I want to hear where you.
Well, no, what's the capon and turning it into a beautiful turkey or whatever? What's a humble item like the pawpaw? the pawpaw and making that into a beautiful dish.
Pawpaw?
Oh, my pawpaw is back. I love you, pawpaw.
Oh, yeah, the pawpaw, the traditional Missouri fruit.
That's right.
Yes.
Fun fact, I had last night, Kelly Martin, the beautiful Kelly Martin, and myself, the less beautiful Peter Martin, we enjoyed a bottle of wine from the state of Missouri.
How'd that go?
We enjoyed it.
Oh.
Which I'm saying, newsflash. It was very good, out of Kansas City, of all places.
Nice.
But I remember on the bottle it said hints of pawpaw, which scared me before I opened
Hints
it.
of pawpaw. For those of you that don't know, pawpaw is a weird little fruit that's grown
Can you
near
put
the Ozarks.
an image of a pawpaw up, please?
They are impossible to open. They're in season for about 2 days every year.
Yeah. I don't think they're very good, but a great chef could elevate it the way that Ellen Lewis.
Our buddy Sugar Rob over here used to elevate pawpaws all the time.
That's right,
over at Bull Rush.
Rob
now
Connolly.
Defunct R.I.P. Bull Rush.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what Cheek to Cheek. That's why I took it as my favorite track, because I love hearing them sing this.
Let's check it out.
Oh, that's a Ray Brown thing that he loved to do, because he knew scales in all keys.
Heaven, I'm in heaven.
This is when Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
And my heart beats so that I
You've
can't.
got
Or You've Got Mail, something.
Yeah.
A lot of romantic
You could see Tom
comedies.
Hanks doing something in the
Twirling
fall,
around romantically.
in the autumn.
Leaves.
Yeah.
I see.
This is a good Oscar solo on this one, too.
He's wearing a sweater and a button-down Oxford underneath it.
Right.
He's 35 years old.
Forever.
Heaven,
And then all of a sudden, he's turned 70.
I'm in heaven. And the kids that hung around me through the week.
And it's amazing because this is the hardest kind of song to just learn at the session.
You can almost hear him struggling with this a little
Totally
bit.
can.
Yeah.
But it's still just so...
There's a lot of lyrics to fit in.
Yeah.
When we
I mean, how do you pull that off? Just kind of rolling up in there.
dancing cheek to cheek.
It's a commitment. I mean, this is hard to...
to climb to my
And then harmonically, this tune doesn't go anywhere. That's until it goes somewhere on the second bridge. Like it's all ice cream changes.
Half as much.
Yeah, there's not a lot to it.
Dancing cheek to cheek.
All right, we got the picture. No, it's
your
great.
banger.
We've listened. That is my banger. I know, but and it gets. I mean, we don't have time to listen to when it really gets to bang. It's already banging, but I just think it's such an interesting thing. Though any tune on here could be the banger, because what they're bringing to the session was consistent. Everybody.
Your banger solo we already listened to.
We
was
did,
on
yeah.
the Can't We Be Friends,
Yeah.
which is a killing
But it
song.
also could have been. They can't take that away from me, Louis Armstrong. I mean, I don't know. I think it was going to be one of his solos.
Well,
So.
let's do some awards.
Awards.
Let's just make sure here that there's no tracks that I
we got to
wanna-
do the underrated, overrated. Oh, you want to jump to awards?
underdogs. So, I do love A Foggy Day. Do you know A Foggy Day, Peter?
I was a stranger
Yeah, with
in the
verse.
city,
Avec verse.
out of town where the people I knew.
In Schuldigen Sie.
I had that feeling of self-pity. What to do, what to do, what to do.
I love a verse.
I do too.
Well
I
written.
don't need to hear it every time, but
Outlook was decidedly blue.
this segue is interesting what
But
they
as
do when
I
they go in.
walked through the foggy streets alone, it turned out to be the luckiest
New Orleans accent, very close to Brooklyn.
day I've known.
They're just like, no, we're going back. We're going.
A foggy day
I
Oh,
love
a
that
foggy
melody so
day.
much.
He's already changing it up.
in London town had me low
That H took a lot out of his
and
words.
had me down. I viewed the morning
What's amazing about Louis Armstrong, he's really a one of one.
with the
We're going to talk about it when we get to first call subs, but nobody
Yeah, we
market
struggled with
corrected.
that.
No one market corrected Louis Armstrong.
No,
no. There's no other.
I mean, mark correct. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. If anybody, no,
No one did.
I wonder
it had to be a New Orleans. I mean, Nicholas Payton, close.
this thing
But you can't when you're
lasts.
so influenced.
I love
by-
Nicholas Payton.
Yeah, no.
What's
Can't do
the
this.
Right.
age of
I mean, maybe he could,
miracles?
actually. I don't know.
Ooh,
Nat King
Nat
Cole,
King Cole.
market
Producer
corrected.
Caleb said that. Yeah.
That's producer Caleb says Nat King Cole. That's actually a great
Well, I
call.
think any artist that stays
through the foggy London town,
that stays on top right till the end,
sun
kind of.
was shining.
It's hard to talk about market correction Because Louis Armstrong had one of his biggest hits in the last couple years of his life. What a wonderful.
A foggy day.
I love how free they are on this one.
In London town. Had me
Low key, Buddy Rich has some killer little fills in this. Little splat.
High key,
Like,
Buddy Rich is
at the
pretty
right
amazing.
place, yeah.
I viewed the morning.
Caleb, you have any thoughts on Buddy Rich as a drummer?
With alarm. The British Museum.
He is a great drummer. Yeah. Caleb's making a great point that he's known for being such a crazy band leader and kind of a star on the Tonight Show, drummer doing crazy stuff. But he's a really solid accompanist, as was shown in the Bud Powell as well. He's just like on it.
I would never guess that this is Buddy Rich. You know, like if it was just totally raw information, because he's just not like he's being such a good sideman.
Yeah.
He's a great sideman.
Yeah, because what he was known for later in terms of being in the front was quite different.
The brash, the bus yellings, the whole thing.
A beautiful employer, apparently, too, as well. Well, we don't know. We can neither confirm nor deny.
Some over underdogs.
Yes.
Underrated. You know, I have Herbie Ellis here, but I'm going to say the entire rhythm section. We'll say Buddy Rich and Ray Brown as well, because
Buddy Rich is underrated. Ray Brown underrated.
I think on this album they might be underrated on this album. As Caleb's mentioning, you think of
maybe Buddy Rich. You
think of Buddy Rich as this brash soloist. You hardly ever hear Oscar Peterson as an accompanist like this, and that's fun as well. But I think certainly Herb Ellis is an underrated force on this album. I think just Herb and Ray's quarter note is so strong, and then having Buddy Rich there, as you said, like these little details that he's adding, are just it makes it for me.
But if everybody's underrated, then
all right, Peter.
Okay. No. I get where you're coming from. I'm going to focus more. I would say Buddy Rich is both on this record is underrated in that a lot of people don't. I mean, I think people know that it's him, but it's understated. Yeah. This is understated Buddy Rich, which to me is some of his most interesting playing. I would say overrated Buddy Rich is when he's just pyrotechnic, soloing, chops technique, which can work for some people, and it's always interesting with the drummer, but that's less interesting, which he doesn't do at all in this record. And so that's why I think this is a little bit underrated, because most people would never say, oh, this is Buddy Rich's best playing. They're like, oh, no, he's not doing any of his great stuff.
Underrated.
Over and underrated.
That's what I'm saying. Over hyphen underrated.
Right, exactly.
Underrated vocal duet albums.
Are those underrated?
Well, we don't talk about them a lot.
That's true. Well, but I mean, it's like, well, we just lost Chris Christopherson. And around my house, not necessarily with me, but a famous record is, you know, Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson, those vocal duets. That was a thing in the 70s, right?
Classic.
But that's different than this.
Daniel likes that?
Did that come out? No.
You said
I don't know.
you.
Kelly Martin. Kelly Martin, all about that duo. But I mean,
so Kelly Martin, fan of Missouri Wines.
And Chris Christopherson. But only with Barbra Streisand.
Is Kelly Martin my Aunt Linda?
Let's see if they're related.
Similar taste.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it is a little bit, because it hasn't been. You know, I was around something that was a little while ago that was great, and so that would make me say underrated. Gregory Porter and Diane Reeves. They did a couple of things that I got to play on,
That would be
and I
nice.
remember being like, "Wow, that was a nice duo. That was easy. That was natural." Like he sat in with us, and it was just like super. I don't remember what we did, but it was super like. They blended. Oh, Diane Reeves and Bobby McFerrin.
Oh, hell yeah.
I got to be a part of that. Right on the stage with that. That was nice. So yeah, I mean, I think it's traditionally we're thinking male and female, but it doesn't have to be. But these are, I think this remains Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, probably the template for it. Not the template, because you can't template this, but like the high water mark, perhaps.
It's a pinnacle for it. It might be in Apex Mountain for it.
Oh, that's right. We're not there yet. Undefeated. I'm going to introduce a new element.
Undefeated? Okay, go for it.
Ella Fitzgerald
100%.
on this record, right?
She's undefeated.
You could make an
She's
argument.
undefeated in her career, honestly.
She kind of is. I mean, you know, there's the precision there. There's the tenacity. There's the effortlessness. There's the incredible instrument. There's the music. I mean, we say it. But the consistency, I think, is what just is crazy.
The only thing that you could maybe want more from her is a sense of like bohemian artistry.
Yeah.
She's so polished, and her choices are very commercial in general.
Shout out Norman Granz.
She was just a little bit like even though she sang with the bebop cats as well.
Yeah.
she never really dove headfirst like Sarah Vaughan or someone like that into that. You know what I mean?
Well, there's some other. We should check out some live in Rome.
I know from the early
like
50s,
with the
late
same
40s.
group. No, the same period. Actually, the next year, some of the Verve's, the live stuff that with the same thing with Oscar Peterson, Buddy Rich, or even the later Oscar Peterson trio with Ed Thigpen and Ray Brown, where she's just like scatting and going crazy.
It's possible I'm just ignorant on this.
No. It's. I mean, compared to Sarah Vaughan, I know what you're saying, and Billie Holiday, and maybe, I know what you're saying. But she does do that. These records are so big, and they were so controlled in a way. You know, I mean, the fact that there's no piano solos, or there's one piano solo continually, but there was a certain control by someone. You have to assume it would be Norman Granz, the producer, and kind of, trying to make hits out of these records and stuff. But she had that for sure. The live stuff is where you hear it.
I might have a hole in my knowledge because I just think of her as like
someone
in love and with strings, and obviously some small group stuff where she's swinging like this. Because she was so swinging, but to me there's not the same what you get with Billie Holiday. Is you get this like this sense of
the depth, maybe.
Yeah, there's some melancholy with it that's not just I'm here, I'm polished, I'm the greatest singer alive. You know what I mean? Which is sometimes what I get from Ellen.
Ella Fitzgerald, is she the Tom Brady of singers?
Yeah, maybe.
So great that everybody's just kind of like
undeniably great, undeniably great.
Right.
But I'm not complaining at all. I'm just
there's
saying,
no scrappiness.
If I had to nitpick, right?
If
I had to nitpick something, it would be that.
I got you.
Yeah.
But that's kind of maybe what the undefeated category should be, is somebody like, you know
Brady,
what I'm saying? It's Tom Brady.
TB12,
exactly.
yeah, for sure.
Patrick Mahomes, I guess, now. I don't watch NFL, so I don't know. Okay, let's get into some, underrated. We got those.
Yeah, how about some Apex Mountains?
Mountains.
Is this the Apex Mountain for Swing for the Masses that you put?
I would even almost say, is this, yes, Apex Mountain for jazz.
Well, jazz died in 1959, so this was right near the end.
Well, I think even more so than like Kind of Blue, for just potentially, it's not going to be for everybody, but is this record as a jazz record the most palatable to every human of the 8 billion or however many there are on the planet? Potentially.
Maybe, but I don't think
and timeless.
I don't think it has, and we can get into this during this snobometer section. I don't think it has the sort of musical, improvisational chops of an album.
But that's not what the masses want. That's what you, Mr. Jazzy,
that's what I'm
with
saying,
a blue note on your head, want.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. But if you had to put this up against Kind of Blue, that has these like sweeping, beautiful train solos and melodic miles solos, but a similar appeal to the masses, wouldn't that be a better representation?
I don't know. This this is almost the Tom Hanks of jazz. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great call.
This is everybody loves him. Like, who cannot like him? Remember when Tom Hanks got like COVID? He was like patient number 4 or something. Everybody was like, the world was deflated.
And KOB's like the Daniel
There's no
Day-Lewis.
haters of Tom. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's great. And maybe somebody, that's in the know would say Daniel Day-Lewis is the better actor. I don't know. Can't speak to that.
He is.
But I just think that this kind of record, now the next 2 records they did together, I think equally so. But if we look at this record, maybe the most palatable out of all those, like for anybody on the human to be like, this is jazz, do you like it? I think you would get the most number of people. There's like a nostalgia factor for sure, even if people don't know what they're listening to. But there's also like, it's not dated. That's the thing. And that's why you could get and we'll see what happens when we get to the snobometer. But there's a certain kind of like corny, boring jazz sound that a lot of people be like, that's jazz. And that's why I don't like jazz. Whereas this is like, that's jazz. And that's why I do like jazz. But then they hear something else, even KOB, and be like, oh no, I don't like that kind of jazz. I like this kind of jazz. And I mean, the more sophisticated or complicated version of this is like Oscar Peterson Trio doing C-Jam Blues live in Denmark, where Kelly Martin's always like, every time she hears that, it's like, I like that kind of jazz.
Okay. So
to me, this is that kind of jazz.
So Kelly Martin, Chris Christopherson, Missouri Wines, Oscar Peterson Trio live in Denmark. We're just getting a nice picture of Kelly's taste.
She's got, and Peter Martin, another thing she loves.
And Peter Martin, that's 4. I like all those things.
And Denmark, Copenhagen, that's like her favorite city in the world.
Things. I've never been, but I hope to go soon. Okay,
but what do you think? What would you say?
I think that's kind of a long walk to get there.
No, but you think, is this Apex Mountain for jazz? No. I'm putting a line in the sand, my friend, here.
For me, no. For me, no.
What is? What would be if it wasn't this?
I would say it would have to be Kind of Blue. Would be the
Okay.
apex mountain for jazz.
For the masses.
Yes. For everybody. For everyone.
Gotcha.
If we're talking jazz for the masses, Kenny G.
Well, no, I think
That was a huge hit.
think this record, Ella and Lewis, has more universal appeal than Kenny G.
I agree with
and
that.
it's not as dated sounding.
At this point, I agree with all
Yeah.
that. I don't know. I think that it can definitely be in the
I
argument.
mean, I think Kenny G's playing like just on its own when you take away maybe some of the more dated background things and what like the way he plays melodically and his sound has a huge appeal and is amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not amazing in the way that Cannonball Adderley is maybe, but it's like I can understand the appeal and there's a beauty there. There's like a craftsmanship that's amazing. But for me, that's on this record, not in the same way, but also it's got like the vibe. It's got songs that are good, maybe not great. Some of them great, but they're interpreted great. It's swinging. It's simple, but it's got like a little bit of an air of. This is almost like, you know what? Okay, ooh. So we've got Tom. This is the Tom Hanks of albums. What's the cuisine or restaurant that this is like? Because it's not McDonald's. It's literally
Definitely
not
not McDonald's.
But it's potentially. This is all. You know what this is? This is like a wonderful pizza, like a high level pizza, like potentially anyone in the world might recognize and like this, like a Napoli pizza, right? But it's not really off-putting to. I mean, some people will be like, I don't want to have that right now.
It's just a pizza margarita.
Pizza margarita. That's exactly.
Right?
You know,
There's nothing. There's no bells and whistles.
there's no, but a beautiful basil,
The little
basilico,
little basil on there.
little buffalo.
Little buffalo mozzarella.
Look, your
and-
whole thing just.
Well,
are we going to
now
lunch next? What's
I'm
going
getting
on?
Hungry. I could actually go for some Neapolitan pizza.
But you know
right
what I'm
now.
saying? Like it's simple, but it is sophisticated. It's celebrated.
I can see but it's pizza.
It's pizza.
Yeah.
It's just pizza.
I got it.
But it's like, and the difference between what you just described, type of really great margarita, and like something that you get at a gas station out in the middle of Missouri.
It's like
that's been
like this ramen shop in Osaka that I went to.
Yeah.
It's just ramen. You still order it from a little machine, and then you take your
elevated.
ticket to get. That's how you order. It's just a countertop, but it was one of the best meals I've ever had. It was bespoke.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this. I think we've exhausted that metaphor there. Is it the apex mountain for the Great American Songbook? I think this is a strong case. I also think any of Ella's, Gershwin, Cole Porter, all of those, I think you can make an argument for that as well.
Yeah. And I think this one, in an interesting way, maybe because it's an assortment of different composers, you know what I mean? Presented in a way that's really high level. I think the great thing about the Great American Songbook is not just those just like any genre, like those incredible songs. To me, it's the whole thing of how many greats. I mean, like A Foggy Day. That's not the greatest standard, I don't think. It's a very good one.
I think it's a great standard. I don't think it's the greatest.
And it's not even the greatest, like top 5 of the Gershwins, maybe.
I think it's A tier, not S tier.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about the Great American Songbook, that there's such a great volume play. It's like you go to Costco.
It is. There's
like,
so
oh my
many.
God, there's so much stuff, but it's actually good
Man,
stuff
you
there.
are a metaphor king
I mean,
today.
I am
in the metaphor zone.
I'm also an executive member now, as of last week, of Costco. Well, but I divert.
Oh, look at this
Yeah,
guy
I can
going
hook you up
full
if-
bird. Is this the apex mountain for trumpet playing in the cracks of vocals? I'm
Yes,
gonna say,
I added that.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I prefer Clifford Brown and Sarah Vaughan.
Oh, damn it! I didn't think
Just
of that
on
one.
my own preference.
Oh, you pulled.
I prefer that.
So you were like, we're playing spades, and I'm rolling along, and then you're just like, bam!
You got to counter
Ace of
that.
spades.
You got to counter that.
Trump card. You may be right. So I'm going to take that off.
Is it Louis Armstrong's apex mountain?
No,
I agree. Is it Ella Fitzgerald's apex mountain?
no.
I agree.
But Ella, I don't know that
It's not
she
far
has
off.
one.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ella, right? You mentioned undefeated. Is there no valleys?
That's part of it. Yeah, like what is
It's just
Tom
this,
Brady's
like,
greatest? Yeah.
It's like this, this tone that just
If
happens.
you win one Super Bowl only, that's your apex mountain as a football player.
Yeah.
If you're Tom Brady, there is no apex mountain, right?
It's true. Well, he lost a lot, but yeah. He lost plenty of Super Bowls. But,
Well, but that's
I hear
not-
you.
you know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Is it apex mountain for vocal duets? Jazz vocal duets? I say yes. I can't think of another jazz vocal duet that I would
I
prefer
think it
to
is.
this.
But I mean, whether that's this record or just Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong in general, I think they're the finest.
Is it the apex mountain for busy ass piano playing?
Oh, I thought it said bluesy ass piano playing.
Nope, it says busy ass piano playing.
No, I mean it's a lot, but it's not the apex mountain because
it is for me. It's to
I
me,
mean
this
Oscar
is-
Peterson did it on too many too many other records.
I coined the award we're about to talk about, which is the Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award. I coined that award from this album.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Thinking, yeah.
Well, you can make a case for it. I just think this is another kind of Tom Brady situation where he did it a lot. He won a lot of Super Bowls for that.
Okay, the awards. The John Coltrane Theft Award goes to?
I'm going to say Buddy Rich.
Oh,
I know I'm calling it audible. My apologies. But because of, like, it's so understated, but he's so many little details, little things that he... wait, tell me the John Coltrane Theft Award again.
Who steals the record?
I don't even understand what that means. But
Like, who overshadows on the record?
well, he doesn't overshadow.
Who over-indexes for what their role is?
I mean, for the way he's playing, I think it's kind of Buddy Rich. You could say Ray Brown, but again, he's just so like he's being Ray
Oscar
Brown.
Peterson really tried. He really tried to steal it.
Had they had Oscar Peterson outside of the introductions, you notice he's way up in the mix on the intros, and then it's like shoo, he's
And
just
then he
like
goes way down.
manual. Norman Granz is like, and no.
Well, that's this. There's no doubt about it. The Oscar Peterson Overplaying Award goes to Oscar Peterson.
this is our easiest one.
This is the easiest one. Is there any?
The role he was born to play for.
I didn't hear any Keith Jarrett vocalization award. I guess I would give that to Lewis, actually.
There was a little bit of Oscar Peterson.
Oh, that's right.
You can't give it to a vocalist.
Keith Jarrett vocalization
Oscar
award.
did on some of those intros
That's
a
right.
little bit.
That's right. On the intros, we're going to give that to Oscar.
It's not.
Well.
I mean,
Is there any Cecil Taylor Taking It Out award?
no. This is not that kind of record,
I
sir.
feel like, though, I'm going to give it to Louis Armstrong on Moonlight in Vermont.
The way he comes in?
Yeah.
That's true. He did. That was an arresting. Yeah.
First Call Subs.
Okay. Can I say what you put down, or was that a joke?
No, it was a joke.
Okay. I want to say for Louis Armstrong, this would be the hardest one. And so this is a little bit of a stretch, but if I had to call somebody that was around during that time and could cover, it would be very different, but could cover the vocals and the trumpet, I'm going to say Chet Baker.
It would be awful. It would not work.
Well,
It would just not work.
I mean, well, who else?
Chet's great, but this is not his vibe.
Can I say what you have on here?
I put Chris Bodie, but I was just like, imagine if Chris Bodie
can't
was on this
sing.
album. I know, but he
You
does
need-
kind of
you need
sing with his
vocal-
trumpet. He
Oh,
can-
ooh.
you know what I mean?
Aunt Linda alert.
It would
there.
just be a funny, like to hear
You are the
Chris Bodie
nephew.
with the modern reverb and all that stuff.
That would
Again,
just be weird.
It would be weird.
No, but I mean, another trumpet player, vocalist, Jeremy Davenport.
Jeremy Davenport would freaking crush this.
That
That's
would
a
be-
great call, and
that
I'm
could
mad at
be.
myself because
Yeah.
he's a friend of the show
Friend of the show.
and
Friend of the host.
yeah, a lifelong. He's a childhood friend of yours.
Yeah.
And he's a great.
But he's not
musician.
alive during this period. We always like to. But yeah,
Yeah.
if we're stretching,
He
to
would be the
another-
perfect plug and play for this.
Benny Benack the third.
That's another good option.
Is he allowed to be nominated for
No,
this?
He wasn't alive then. I can't think of too many other folks
Trumpet-
that would.
trumpet.
I mean, obviously now, actually, I know he plays piano, but Nat King Cole, I think, would be an interesting choice. Nat and Ella
How is
together.
his trumpet playing?
Not great. Not great.
Nicholas Payne
Not bad,
can sing pretty
probably.
well.
Can he sing?
He can sing a little
See,
bit.
I knew he could. When
Yeah.
you said that.
I mean, he's not going to jump into this. I mean, Nicholas Payne could jump in and kind of sing like Louis Armstrong,
but it
and
would be
certainly
like
play.
an homage as
That
opposed to
he
like,
could do. So if you wanted a sub, like
No, you would have to have someone who could bring their own thing to it too.
Ella Fitzgerald, who's gonna sub for her, or does the whole thing fall apart?
Carmen McRae or Sarah Vaughan is what we have here, and I think those are two of the obvious choices.
Yeah,
it could have been interesting to hear Louis
Doris
Armstrong.
Day.
I was going to say it could be interesting to hear Louis Armstrong and Blossom Dearie. These
Dearie.
two very opposite, distinctive voices.
Yep.
One's like a cutesy little angel, and one's like has this gravelly thing that's way down low. you
Right,
know?
because there is the dichotomy already there with Louis and Ella.
Yeah. Nancy
Wilson, she would have
be a
been
good
on the
call.
young side.
She would have been young, but so would have Blossom Dearie.
Yep.
Though, so
Piano. I love what you put. I love what I put.
Art Tatum would have been a good choice.
Yep.
Hank Jones would have been incredible.
Yeah.
At this, he would have laid down an incredible bed of
Ellis
support.
Larkins would have not have
Ellis
been as notey
Larkins.
as Oscar Peterson, but
Guitar, we've got Barney Kessel,
yeah.
Barney Kessel, who just, I think, previously left Oscar's band right before this.
Yeah.
And you have Mark Whitfield, which is an interesting choice.
Mark
as well.
Whitfield could play all this stuff, and he could also almost keep up with Oscar Peterson if Oscar Peterson lifted up his hands and he wanted to solo.
I mean, if we were going with more modern people, Russell Malone.
Russell Malone,
would be a good
Yeah.
choice.
Mark Whitfield, Russell Malone, yeah, fantastic.
Bass, I've got Slam Stewart.
Yep.
Piano, we had Art Tatum, and that's why I thought of Slam
Yep.
Stewart for that. And drums, of course.
Ed Thigpen.
Ed Thigpen.
You know, the
Perfect choice.
next drummer in the
for sure.
bespoke genre. What do you have here? You got it in all cap. I mean, you got it bolded. You're shouting at me.
That's just the format of the sheet. But I do have for my bespoke genre, goat pop, because these two are goats, greatest of all timers.
Yes.
And this is, in my mind, as close to a jazz pop record as you can get. There are hardly any improvised solos. Even when Lewis is soloing on the trumpet, he's usually heavy melody leaning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a pop record. Like you said, it's very, very palatable to a lot of people. So I'm going to call it goat pop.
Goat pop. I like it. Sounds weird, but I like it. Okay, why did I do this? Duo gas jazz.
What the what?
My idea on this was, I was trying to come up with something that sounded cool. Duo gas jazz. But now
Why
it's
gas?
Great American Songbook. Gas
Peter?
jazz.
That's
Jazz
genius.
gas. But it should be duo jazz gas. Gas jazz. It just sounds
Duo
gross.
jazz gas is gross.
Sounds gross.
Duo jazz
Let's move
gas.
on.
Okay.
Accoutrements. Can we see the original album cover?
We already talked about this a little bit, but we do like this album cover quite a bit. I'm sure they could have gotten a little more creative with it, but I love it. I love it. I love the color palette of the Capitol Studios.
I'm sorry, I'm going to approach a panoramic. Oh, I'm really blocking. Sorry.
And you also kick the camera.
A panoramic true.
Is
that what that says?
Just a close-up shot of Pete's torso.
What's Caleb said, just ask me.
Panoramic true, high fidelity record.
Okay. I love that.
High five, everybody.
It's high five.
Hot takes.
Wait, I want to look at, we like to look at, we thought this was the original, but when it was actually released on LP, can you put the original? We used this. There you go. What a great cover.
What the fuck
is that Dizzy Gillespie or I don't even know if that's them.
The hell is going on?
That's one of these bootleg
For our
reissues.
listeners, it's this bootleg cover. Louis Armstrong somehow
horrible.
looks 80, and Ella, the whole thing is
It's bad, and it's like colorized, but it's like Chat GPT.
It was colorized by my 12-year-old son who is colorblind. It's bad.
All right, shout out divulging family medical conditions. Okay, do we have another? Is there another art that I sent you? I can't even remember. Was that it?
Just the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, the Hollywood Bowl. We saw that already. That's interesting.
Snomometer.
So refreshing everybody, as well as myself, on the snomometer. One is Aunt Linda would love it, and a snob would hate it. They wouldn't even want to touch it or talk about it. Ew. 10 is Ethan Iverson sends out a daily vlog about this. A blog.
He doesn't do video. It's only
A blog,
text, yeah.
Sends out a newsletter. Shout out his excellent newsletter. I just received it the other day.
Yeah, I got to check it
It's
out.
always good. Would love it, but Aunt Linda would curse at you for putting it in
She
front of
would
her.
repel, yeah.
So I'm going 2 because I don't
Linda,
think.
by the way, it doesn't curse. So go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I'm going 2, and I see you have 3. Tell me your thinking on this.
Yeah, I think it's a little more. I just think that we're jazz snobs and we love it.
Are we though?
Well, we kind of are, yeah.
But where do we fall usually on the snob?
We're not quite as snobby as someone like Ethan, or we don't have as refined taste as someone like Ethan Iverson. But we're snobby enough that if we like it, it can't be a 1 or a 2.
Right.
I put a 3.
Now that I'm thinking about this, though, Ethan, we got to stop doing the Ethan.
I know, Ethan would
because he
love
would be
this.
like, "I love this record."
I know. He's got great taste in all this stuff. So,
So I think we're talking about a different kind of snob,
I think it's more just like
like an insecure snob
yeah.
would not like this because they're like, "Oh no," because this is one of the best-selling jazz
Yeah,
records.
it's more like the comic book guy from Simpsons style of snob, where it's
Right.
just like worst duet ever. You know what I mean? Because it would be too like they ruined it when they released it to the masses kind
Right.
of snob,
right.
which I don't think Ethan
You are a
is.
Simpsons snob.
Thank you
Apparently,
very much. How was that? Was that a good?
that was very
comic book
good.
guy? Thank you.
What's
very
his
much.
name? Simpsons guy.
It's comic book guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There you go. Better than KOB.
No,
No.
No.
Well, I said nah.
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 All right, let's
But
go out
very
on the
good.
final track. Peter, this was so much fun. I love
This
this
was good.
album.
Great record.
This is a nice palate cleanser for what we've been doing. This is April in Paris. We're going to come back next week with some Cecil Taylor.
Oh, yeah. I know who's winning the Cecil Taylor Award on that. Till next time.
You'll hear it.
April in Paris, chestnuts in blossom.
Hey, Peter,
Yes.
we're
Back.
not really going to do April. We're not really going to do
We're not really going to go to Paris in April together? I was hoping we
Cecil Taylor, are we?
may. I actually have one in particular, a fantastic Cecil Taylor album I want to turn you on to.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, absolutely. I have some good Cecil Taylor stories.
Oh, maybe we will.
I have a great restaurant recommendation for Paris as well. Should I do that?
Can we do the Cecil Taylor episode from the restaurant in Paris?
No, but I'm going to shout that out. Savannah. It's on Rue Descartes, which is the oldest street in Paris on the whatever the lower bank is. That's the left bank, I think. Right bank.
He's not quite as accurate as Google Maps, but he's close.
No, you put in Savannah. Richard is the proprietor, good friend. If you go there, please tell him Peter Martin from the podcast sent you. Savannah on Rue Descartes.
We'll see you there.
See you there.
To face.